All right, it's indeed a very, very beautiful and lovely Saturday morning. Like every other Saturday, we're back with the breakfast with the boys, and this is what your interpretation of this particular theme is. Looking at the time when innovation and technology is at the core center of the development, and speak of business development and the economic emancipation. It all lies in the hands of technology, because technology is a new pen and paper. Well, thank you so much for joining us once again, and I'm yours truly, one of the boys, Keith Mwemba, to be with you from now up until the time will be ending. We've started a little bit late than the usual. We'll always come back to your screens at 07 hours, but it's about 8 past, a few minutes past the hour of 8. But nevertheless, we've got a whole lot of issues lined up for you. It has been a very, very exciting, interesting, week. And of course, this week, in terms of business, www.betware.co.zm. If you want to increase your chances of winning, bet more and more and more. Remember, also, Movative is running the in case you are wondering of what I'm talking about, is the issue of the Kabushi Constitution and the other Constitutional Court judges. So it was indeed a very, very sad moment, because of what the revelations are coming through is that there is enough evidence to say there was fraud in that particular election. There was violence by the NATO forces, and according to the findings and investigations, in some particular wards where there was much violence, which has also been caught on camera with the NATO troops or the NATO forces, the bulldozer was just within the vicinity, and he was always aligned to the NATO forces. So we're going to get to see what next, and after that, before even the court session ended, the bulldozer had to excuse himself and move away from the court proceedings. Maybe he knew to say, oh well, obviously the judgment won't be in my favor. And after that, obviously, he got to respond with a speech of acceptance of the court outcome, to say what they need now as a team is to re-strategize and be able to see how they can move forward. Remember, this is the man that has ambitions of becoming a president. Yes. I asked him if at all he's also running for the Patriot Front presidents to take over the leadership from the former past immediate president, Dr. Edgar Chagwalungu. He said, well, not now, and he's not vying for that presidency, but one day he will be the president of the Republic of Zambia. Those are his ambitions. So it will be very, very interesting. And of course, that's about the bulldozer. 24 hours later, after that, that was on Thursday, 24 hours later, we saw the Kamfinsa constituency on the COP activities for the Patriot Front. In less than 24 hours, they are celebrating, and also they are crying. So we're going to get to see what it entails. And I know many people have been asking as to whether this nullification means disqualification. I'll be able to come back later and be able to explain more on that, on what Article 52 explains, and how it guides for somebody to be able to sue the bulldozer, and on what ground he can be disqualified. That's Article 52. Quite lengthy, but very, very, informative, that we can be able to use that particular information. Great. So yesterday, Friday, after a fortnight, we saw the health workers recruitment that took so long. Remember, these things, the recruitment of teachers and health workers, must have come probably in January, early 2022, when the UPND budget was effected. But due to some ways they are doing, methodical way, trying to be prudent and accountable, they thought the process should take up a little bit longer, so that they could be able to decentralize the process and be able to just put up the playing field very fair. So this is what we saw And we saw the recruitment of teachers. Of course, there's been different reactions on how the government is going to implement, and responses have been coming from so many, stakeholders, and of course, government. The Minister of Finance, Dr. Stumbeko Musokotwane, did confirm to say the money is for the over 30,000 teachers is ready. And also, there were some comments from the former Higher Education Minister, Michael Kayingu, who said, but where are these teachers going to be staying? 30,000 is not a small number. Where are they going to be staying? And of course, the president replied to say, wow, the private sector, this is your opportunity. Build houses and you'll be able to make money. So maintenance, yaoneka. That was the term that he used, and it went on and on and on. So now, yet again, Michael Kayingo, former, higher education minister, he also get to have a comment or, make a statement to say the recruited, teachers, they need to be retrained. Wow. So now he says most of them or some of them were in different fields. They were not practicing teaching, and but I don't know on what grounds he's saying that. And if indeed many of these teachers were not practicing, because some of them were in the private sector, of course, in the private schools, and he says they need to go into some form of training. So we do not really know what, and you share with us if it's indeed something that we should be able to uphold and take keen interest on. Are these teachers that did get to finish their schools a few years back, are they able to deliver quality education that Zambia needs? Or maybe they should also undergo some training or refresher courses like they sell it. We'll be able to get to listen to that. And yesterday we saw the the recruitment of health workers, 11,000 health workers. So with the number of people that really applied for that particular, these particular positions, there was a huge, but the government was only able to absorb about, about 11,000, leaving out a whole lot of huge backlog. So we'll be able to check out and be able to see what exactly the remaining health personnel, qualified people, will be able to take into. That's about the health workers, and a few people, or many of them that have been recruited, they're busy celebrating, obviously, others with tears of joy, and we can only congratulate them. But to the people that have been left out, well, it's sad, but there's always a next time. We are with you, and just stay strong. Just stay strong. Yes, just stay strong. One interesting, decision or debate that came about in Parliament is that of, the budget supplement. So there's been approval of supplementary budget, and I know it was a very heated up debate on the floor of the House. Obviously, members coming from the opposition were against, and those that debated on the floor of the House was obviously a number of MPs coming from the opposition, and away from the House, we saw the Economic Freedom Fighters president or leader, Kasonde Mwenda, who said this is a very bad decision, and it would paint a bad image rather, on Zambia to the well-wishers that would want to be, to associate themselves with Zambia. So he says this is not a very good decision at the time. The budget is even really constrained and hasn't been fully effected smoothly. We are having a supplementary budget. So he holds a different argument. But there's been a few comments from world-renowned economists and on what grounds the government has taken up this particular decision. So we'll be able to, I'll be able to share with you on how it goes about that. And another debate was of removing the presidency from the presidency of the IDC. Remember, the IDC, Industrial Development Corporation, president tends to be the sitting Republican president. Many people have been calling upon some reforms of the IDC in its structures and in its operations. And this can only start with changing the president of the IDC. And indeed, true to the word, it has been changed. There's want to be change of removing the presidency, because if from even what the Transparency International Zambia has said, to say maybe removing the presidency from the IDC saves him from scandals. Wow. So quite an interesting comment coming from IDC. And remember, today is a very footballing weekend. Over the week we saw the Copper Queens that came with a bronze medal being paraded on the streets of Lusaka. There's been interesting, people getting to see the Copper Queens, the beloved, Copper Queens, Grace Chanda and Loshoma Mwemba and Martha Tembo, Belemu, people's darling, and of course Katongo and Lungu Mapepa. All the stars that were there, people got a chance to meet them and just be able to look at them and cheer with them with that particular victory for the bronze, and of course the automatic qualification to next year's New Zealand and the co-hosted World Cup with Australia in the 2023 Women's World Cup. So it's a very interesting. Today is also another big day. So remember, you need to come through the showgrounds earlier so that you do one or two things. Right at 15 hours, we are headed to the National Hero Stadium as Zambia will be battling it out in the African Nations Championship against the Mambas of Mozambique. So we'll be able to see what the day will look like and what the afternoon will be. Last week it was a goalless or barren draw when we played against in Mozambique, but we're back and we'll be playing home. So the last time we played home, we won. There was an interesting and relation of these things, but we're going to get to see what exactly it's going to be. And of course, it will be very interesting to see if Zambia will be able to win. Remember, there's been a debate what people are now calling the Copper Queens as the official, or I don't know what they mean by official, the only official and authentic national team. So now the Copper Bullets, but the Kuwaya, and I mean, guys, these are boys. Men are men, and boys are boys. The Copper Queens, obviously, they've done extremely well. On the other side, the men's team have been pathetic. They've been pathetic. The guys haven't been just delivering. The Copper or the the COSAFA, yes, they delivered, but in tournaments or qualifiers that have mattered the most to the Zambian people, they haven't been able to come to the fold, and that's what Zambians have been complaining all about. So this is the chance. Zambia has been able to get up the chance, and we're looking forward to this particular one. And the build-up, obviously, hopefully, they do not get to relax after getting the COSAFA. We're getting to use the same crop, Kelvin Mubanga Kampamba Kemuka, and of course, Joshua Budo Mutale, the mesmerizing young player of the year in the Zambian Super League. He did get to win that particular award when there were awards. Of course, Ricky Banda getting the top scorer award, that is the Golden Boot, and also the player of the year of the season award, which is debatable. Others thought it's Moses Piri, but hey, Ricky Banda has a gold medal, and yeah, that's about that. So it's a very interesting. Of course, Mary Mwakapila and Coach Bruce Mwape of the Copper Queens got away with the first presidential award, and a few other most disciplined players. This has been scooped by James Jemba Chamanga. Over 30 plus years, the player is still disciplined, is able to guide Ricky Banda, is able to guide his fellow teammates, and they were delivering on the pitch. So it was a very exciting week and footballing season. Let's get to look at some of the stories and the transfer stories in Europe. Like I said, it should have been yesterday. If Chelsea fans, I don't think you'll be able to like or to get to hear what I'll be able to say. So there's been four major, Chelsea targets. It all started with Ousmane Dembele, whose contract ran out at Football Club Barcelona, and it was a target by Chelsea, looking that they have new owners, the American Todd Bowley, who have got huge, money, just like the former Russian proprietor or owner of the club. So it was Ousmane Dembele. They were chasing for that signature, but unfortunately they didn't get to get that particular signature as he renewed a 2-year contract with FC Barcelona. They lost out on that one. Came about Rafinha, the Brazilian super left-footed player who was playing with Leeds, and they did get to agree with the club, but unfortunately it wasn't so, and they did get to lose out. And speaking yet again on the Polish international striker Robert Lewandowski, it was the same case yet again. He decided to join the club in the Catalan. What do we see next? Jules Koundé, the international fast centre back for the for the French. Yet again, he gets to they put up that particular bid with Sevilla, but the player insists to say, hey, I would love to go to Barcelona and probably play the El Clasico, one of the biggest games in the world of football. And yet again, yesterday we saw them to agree, and he signed a contract up to 2026 with Football Club Barcelona. So there's been a whole lot of drama with Chelsea and Barcelona. Obviously, now they are going for Marcos Alonso and Azpilicueta. They are both Spanish, so we're gonna get to see how this whole business will gonna get to be, because as it is, Chelsea is not interested, and they do not just like what it is going on right about now. Cristiano reclaims his status back and his position back to say he's staying with Manchester United. He was always looking forward to a team that is trading next season in the Champions League, but unfortunately it seems he has failed to find it. It was Bayern they turned down, it was Paris Saint-Germain they turned down, it was all these seemingly bigger teams that turned him down, and it could be with issues of the pricing and also of the age. But now he has confirmed to say tomorrow on Sunday, as Rayo Vallecano, the Spanish club, plays a friendly, of course, with Manchester United. So he has said, see you on Sunday, and he has confirmed to be part of that particular game. So Manchester United fans, is it a good thing that Cristiano is staying? I know there's been debates as to what input he's putting in, but Cristiano is Cristiano. And at the time you are doubting him, that's the very time. Those are greatest moments for Cristiano. When the world is doubting him, that's when he comes to prove you, the doubters, wrong. Arguably, one of the best football players and the gods that we have. There's been debates, obviously, for Real Madrid fans, Manchester United fans, and Portuguese, and they always feel he's the greatest. But what do you mean, and what do you use to say he is indeed the greatest? So there's been different reactions, obviously, getting to see the acting Patriot Front Secretary General. He claims the recruitment of 40,000 civil servants was a Patriot Front plan. Wow, interesting. And of course, the VIP is impressed with the show participation. So yesterday the VIP did get to go around the stands in the showgrounds and be able to appreciate the exhibitors and the participation by many opposition, or rather by many business entities right here in Zambia, and a few more other international companies. So right about now, let's just take a listen or take a look at the clips that we have, and just a recap to give you a background of the stories that we have. When we do get back, obviously we'll be able to guide and look at these stories in depth. This is the Saturday edition of the Breakfast Show. This is the Big Sunrise Breakfast Show. We call it the Breakfast with the Boys, and I'm yours truly, one of the boys, Kid Member. Do not move, we're still together, lined up with a very, very interesting stories. Do not move. playing yote mapenzi. Achana. Welcome back once again. This is Breakfast with the Boys, and obviously this is the show edition. We're coming to you live from the Lusaka Agricultural Showgrounds, or Zambia Agricultural Showgrounds, and we are running with the theme innovation through technology, and of course technology transforming businesses. It has been a very, very interesting week in terms of current affairs, of course, and in terms of news and businesses as well. Starting from Wednesday, when we did get to open up here, there's been numbers increasing day by day, and of course today looks a very, very good one because the numbers seemingly to be more increasing. So there's more entertainment and of course more exploration just to take out the stands with the exhibition. So it has been a very, very interesting and exciting edition, the 94th edition of the Zambia Agricultural Showgrounds. Let's get to look at the bulldozer issue and the case on what grounds really may be able to disqualify him. So now, only Article 52 of the Constitution of the Republic of Zambia may be able to disqualify Boma Lusambo from recontesting his seat and not the nullification judgment. So I'll be very, very, slow and trying just to read this particular Article 52 and be able to appreciate on how and what it guides on how to disqualify the bulldozer, or how it disqualifies and nullifies if a seat is nullified, and how it gets to disqualify a candidate. Right. So it says rather, if one wants to disqualify Boma's desire to contest the Kabushi seat, one has to file in a nomination challenge using Article 52 of the Constitution of Zambia. And this is to seek the Constitutional Court interpretation on whether or not Bowman cannot or eligible to stand in view of the court finding him guilty of participating in corruption, violence, vote fraud, among other malpractice connected to his NATO troops. So the court decision will be final, and if it will be disqualification, then that decision of the court will trigger the provisions of Article 70 and Article 72. Article 52 subsection 4 states that a person may challenge before a court or tribunal as prescribed the nomination of a candidate within 7 days of the close of nomination, and the court shall hear the case within 21 days of its lodgment. After disqualification, Clause 6 is triggered, which guides that where a candidate becomes disqualified in accordance with Article 70, or a court disqualifies a candidate for corruption or malpractice after the close of nomination and before the election date, the Electoral Commission shall counsel the election and require the filing of fresh nominations by eligible candidates, and elections shall be held within 30 days of filing of the fresh nomination. Therefore, relying on the nullification judgment is not enough to disqualify Boma Lusambo, as the court never disqualified him but nullified his seat. Notably, Articles 70 and 72 don't apply because the court didn't disqualify Boma Lusambo except nullifying his election that brought him as Kabushi MP. Therefore, nullification of an election does not mean disqualification of a candidate from recontesting, but is a call for a fresh election which the petitioned also participate. And inversely, disqualification calls for the non-participation of the petitioned in a fresh election. So that's what Article 52 guides on whether Boma Lusambo qualifies to recontest or he's been disqualified. So according to the judgment, it hasn't categorically stated whether he has been disqualified. So it takes upon the cases to be reported as to in this particular case where there was some malpractice, violence, and fraudulent situations. So that's about the bulldozer, and we get to clear up the air and be able to share with you exactly what the Constitution or what the law guides in this particular case. case. And the other story that we have, obviously, is that of the removing of the president from the Industrial Development Corporation. And removing the president from IDC board will protect him from scandals. This is according to TIZ, Transparency International Zambia, and of course news diggers had to quote them. And Transparency International Zambia, TIZ, says it is very pleased with the recommendation made by the parliamentary committee that the president must be removed from IDC board. On Tuesday, Parliament adopted the report of the Committee on Parastatal Bodies, which recommended, among others, that the executive should consider removing the office of the president from the Industrial Development Corporation. So what is your take about this particular one, and what is your feeling about this? Should the president keep being the leader of the IDC and some of these parastatals, or indeed it would do him a service and probably get to see these very effective? One interesting thing is that if there's been these committees, they've submitted proposals on how to remove the president from these parastatals, why can't they also be able to submit the removal of the presidency from some of the investigative wings? Remember, the issue of corruption has always been aligned with some hands, somewhere being able to control these investigative wings. There's been cries, there've been calls, but in a quest or in a fight or in interest of trying to make these investigative wings really stand on their own, unlike being able to be pushed or manipulated. So they say the president should be clearly moved away from this. So these are more calls that are being made, but we'll be able to see how the ministry of this government, or rather this government comprising of those serving and also the legislature is coming from the opposition, how they'll be able to debate these issues and how they'll be able to find solutions and make laws like we, the Zambian people, have mandated them. Let's get to look at the issue, once again, of the supplementary budget that rose eyebrows from many of the opposition political parties. So we get to see an economist, Trevor Hambai, wrote, or he did get to say out his views, saying out loud and putting up a comment on this one. So he says, even with exceptional financial prudence, it is unlikely that the country would have surplus funds requiring approval to spend under the current economic metrics. The numbers do not agree. The fundamental position is based on two key factors. He says, budget deficit. The 173 billion kwacha 2022 budget has a provision for the country to borrow 74.2 billion. This obviously will get to 24.5 billion domestics and 49.7 billion external to finance part of the 48.2% of the 2022 budget, with 98 billion kwacha being 56.6% from the coming domestic resources. Thus, any surplus the country will generate will only reduce the proposed budget debt financing of 74.2 billion kwacha. And also the other one, he says, debt service arrears. The country has not been servicing its external debt liabilities since November 2020, when defaulted on our Eurobond coupon payment. As of December 2021, we had accrued default arrears of about 1.2 billion United States dollars. And if indeed we have been prudent in resource management, these funds should be reflecting in our reserves, in positioning ourselves to any potential outcomes of the creditors' negotiations. Call it what you want, but these funds cannot be surplus. As for the proposed expenditure, three key issues must be addressed, and I will be able to address one because we are right at the close of time. So dismantling arrears and payment of retirees, this will upload every day, and our country's economic heartbeat is driven by government payments, and the suppliers and contractors are being squeezed out of business without payment of arrears. Government must find the funds or to dismantle the full 49 billion kwacha over years to start drive economic recovery in our SME, that's small medium enterprise sector, and the retirees have earned the payment and it's overdue. Let's respect service to the country. Well, these are the reactions, and this is what the week has been in terms of news and current affairs, and of course in terms of politics. We always talk about politics because these politicians, in the end, they're the ones that preside over so many issues, and they're the ones that take up the leadership of this particular country. All right, this is where we come to the end of today's edition of the Breakfast with the Boys. I have been yours truly, one of the boys, and this has been obviously Keith Mumba, and we were brought to you with the Association of Betway, and we were coming to you live from the Zambia Agricultural Showgrounds, where we are running with the theme innovation through technology, and of course technology, or rather innovation transforming businesses. It has been a very, very exciting edition, and thank you so much to you, the viewers, that always do join us every other morning. And we're back on Monday with the breakfast show, and we'll be right here at the Agricultural Showgrounds. Likewise, and always, one Zambia and one nation, and meet you and see you at the National Hero Stadium as we get to watch the Chipolo Polo battling it out with the Mambas of Mozambique. Good morning.